You know that feeling, that familiar clench in your gut, maybe, or that rush of thoughts that feel way too fast when life just throws a wrench in the works.
Yeah, definitely. Like a new job or maybe moving house.
Right, or relationship stuff, ends or beginnings. Even just that low hum of uncertainty we seem to live with now.
It's that feeling of being like unmoored, like the ground just shifted under you.
Exactly. And that unease, that stress. It's so common when things change.
It really is.
And that's what we're diving into today. We've gathered a whole stack of resources, psych research, practical guides, studies on how people handle big shifts.
Yeah, trying to get a good picture.
Our mission here is really to pull out the sharpest, most useful insights, to understand why change rattles us so much.
And maybe more importantly, how we can move through it all with a bit more grace. Maybe confidence.
Yeah, understanding and grace. Okay, let's unpack this. The first big question really is fundamental. Why is change, even good change, often so stressful?
Well, what's fascinating and what some sources point to is how our sort of primitive brain reacts.
Okay.
It doesn't always stop to figure out if a change is good or bad. Its main alarm system. It gets triggered by the unknown.
The unknown itself.
Yeah. Anything outside our normal patterns, sights, sounds, routines, what we expect, can instantly signal potential danger. It flips that old survival switch.
Huh. So it's like an ancient programming thing.
Exactly. It developed for a world where, frankly, the unfamiliar often meant the threat.
So stepping into something genuinely new, a new city, new job, whatever, it just sets off that internal alarm bell.
Pretty much. That deep-seated alert system gets activated.
And that fear of the unknown. Does it tend to show up in specific ways?
It seems to.
Yeah.
Some of the material suggests it often boils down to a few core anxieties. There's one framework mentioning 3 common fears during transitions.
Okay, like what?
Fear of rejection is a big one. Will I fit in? Will people accept me?
Yeah, makes sense.
Then there's fear of inadequacy. Do I actually have what it takes? Am I skilled enough for this?
Right, that self-doubt creeping in.
Exactly. And the third one is fear of powerlessness. Just feeling totally out of control, adrift in this new situation.
Wow, that breakdown. It really resonates. Thinking about starting a new job, right?
Yeah.
It's not just learning the tasks. It's worrying about clicking with colleagues. That's rejection. Proving you can handle the work inadequacy.
Yeah.
And just figuring out all the new systems and who's who, where you feel completely lost, that's powerlessness.
Totally. And the sources emphasize you often have to kind of lean into those fears to make the unknown well-known. You have to take that first step, even when it feels really uncomfortable.
Which I guess leads to another point that came up in the material. Navigating change takes time.
Yeah.
Like often way more time than we allow ourselves.
Oh, definitely. As adults, we expect ourselves to just get it, instantly master the new thing, write the whole new chapter overnight.
Yeah, but it's not like that, is it? It's more like learning a really complex skill.
It really is. Like, think about learning to write an essay. You don't start there.
No.
You start way back, maybe preschool, just learning letters, then words, sentences, paragraphs. It's this long process building the foundations before you can actually put it all together effectively.
And facing a big life change. It kind of makes us that preschooler again, doesn't it?
In many ways, yes. We're learning the absolute basics, the alphabet of the new situation. New names, new routes, new expectations, new ways of doing things.
So a really powerful message seems to be, have some grace for that inner preschooler.
Exactly. You wouldn't yell at a kid for not writing a masterpiece on their first day learning letters, right?
No.
So extend that same kindness to yourself, celebrate the tiny steps, the attempts, just the process of learning. Don't demand perfection right away or feel like a failure because it's hard.
Just acknowledging the fear and giving yourself that space to learn, that's a huge first step.
It really is.
Vital.
Okay, so beyond self-compassion, what else is in the toolkit? What do the sources offer for navigating the stress? Well, a theme that comes up again and again is the power of mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more. How does that apply here?
So mindfulness basically is about paying attention on purpose to what's happening right now, your thoughts, feelings, what your body's doing, your surroundings.
But without judging it.
That's the key part. Without judgment. Think of your mind like a snow globe that's just been shaken up by all the stress of change. Thoughts, worries, swirling everywhere.
Yeah, chaotic.
Mindfulness is like Gently setting that globe down, letting the flakes slowly settle, it creates a bit of space between you and all those overwhelming thoughts.
And it's not just sitting down to meditate for an hour.
No,
Yeah.
not necessarily. Though formal meditation can help, for sure. It's more about cultivating that intentional awareness in just everyday moments.
Like noticing the anxious thoughts, but not getting totally swept away by the stories they tell.
Precisely, just observing them, like, oh, there's that worry again. Seeing it as just a temporary mental thing passing through, it helps you realize that intense emotions, worries, they don't last forever. They will pass.
Is there a specific way to practice that when you're feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, actually one concrete framework that came up is RAIN. RAIN.
R-A-I-N. Okay, what does that stand for?
It's a really helpful mnemonic. R is for recognize. Just notice and name the difficult emotion or sensation. Ah, okay. This is anxiety I'm feeling.
Got it. R-recognize.
A is for allow. Let it be there. Don't immediately try to fight it or push it away or fix it. Just allow.
Okay, that sounds hard.
It can be, but resisting often makes it stronger. So, A, allow. Then I is for investigate.
Investigate.
Yeah, with curiosity, not judgment. Like, where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts are tangled up with it? Just gently exploring.
I investigate.
And N.
N is for nurture. This brings in that self-compassion we talked about, treating yourself kindly like you would a friend who's struggling, offering yourself some comfort or understanding. R-A-I-N. Recognize, allow, investigate, nurture. That seems like a really practical tool.
It really helps you engage with the feeling directly but mindfully, which, kind of paradoxically, helps you process it instead of making it bigger by trying to avoid it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of concrete steps, when everything feels up in the air during change, there's often that profound sense of losing control.
Right, absolutely. Huge trigger.
And that loss of control, like we said, major anxiety trigger. So what's the strategy there?
A key one from the sources is to deliberately shift your focus. Focus on what you can control.
Okay, like what? Because often it feels like nothing is in your control.
Right, it can feel that way, but you might not control the ultimate outcome, whether the new job works out perfectly or how the move settles long term.
Yeah.
But you can control things like your preparation, your effort, how you choose to respond to challenges that pop up, who you reach out to for support, how you set up your immediate space.
So if you've moved for a new job, you can't guarantee the job is amazing, but you can focus on setting up your desk nicely or exploring your new neighborhood bit by bit.
Exactly. Planning your commute, scheduling check-ins with people, small, tangible things within your power.
And related to that, I imagine, is the idea of routines.
Yes. Establishing new routines quickly is really important, even tiny ones, like the time you have your morning coffee or a consistent bedtime.
Why does that help so much?
It provides a sense of stability and predictability when everything else feels kind of chaotic and unpredictable. It anchors you.
And breaking down big challenges.
Also key, breaking down the huge, overwhelming task of adjusting to this massive change into small, manageable goals. Each little win gives you a sense of competence, a feeling of agency, like you're making progress.
Okay, so focusing on control, routines, small goals. What about the emotional journey itself? Some sources talked about that, right? Like the psychology of moving.
Yeah, that often gets described as a bit of a roller coaster. There are phases people tend to go through.
Like what?
Well, often there's initial excitement, maybe. Then comes anxiety. Often feelings of grief or loss for the old life, the familiar things.
Even if you wanted the change.
Absolutely. Then there's a period of adjustment, which can be bumpy, and then eventually, hopefully, feeling settled.
That framework seems useful just for normalizing it all. Like,
Yeah.
It's okay to feel sad about leaving, even if you're excited about arriving.
Exactly. It acknowledges that leaving somewhere familiar involves real loss. You're mourning the comfort of the known, the easy route to work, the familiar faces, the coffee shop where they knew your order.
It's not just changing your address. It can feel like losing a part of your identity tied to that place.
That temporary feeling of being identity-less or just adrift, it can be really disorienting. Like, who even am I when my whole context shifts?
Plus, all the decisions. Big ones, tiny ones.
Yeah.
Where to buy milk, which bus to catch. It's constant mental effort.
Total decision fatigue and cognitive overload. Your brain is working overtime processing all this new information.
So strategies there might include consciously making your new space feel familiar, bringing comforting things.
Definitely. And maintaining connections with your support network from your old life is crucial. Don't just drop off the map.
But also making an effort to build new connections in the new place.
Yeah, both are important. And just being really patient with yourself through that whole adjustment phase. It takes time.
And that connecting with others piece, that's not just for moving, right? Social support seems critical in any transition.
Profoundly important. It's a massive buffer against stress. When you feel overwhelmed, the instinct might be to pull back, hide away.
Yeah, isolate yourself.
But actively reaching out, making that call, meeting for coffee, just having someone listen, it can make a world of difference. Leaning on your network or building a new one if you need to.
Okay, so another recurring theme, tying back to the preschooler idea, was self-compassion.
Yes, consistently emphasized across the material.
Treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give a friend?
Exactly. Kindness, understanding, acceptance, recognizing that finding things difficult, feeling overwhelmed, it's part of being human. It's not a sign you're failing.
That really does sound like it would be a powerful protector during those rocky times.
It absolutely seems to be. And there's research backing this up. One quite large study looked at students transitioning to college.
Okay.
And it found that self-compassion was the single strongest predictor of a successful transition.
Wow, the single strongest predictor.
Yep. It correlated with positive changes across almost everything they measured. Less depression, less anxiety, better social connection down the line.
That's remarkable. It really highlights the power of cultivating that individual skill, that internal resource.
It does. And practices aimed at building its specific meditations, cognitive approaches, they show promise. The core idea is approach your struggles with kindness, see your shared humanity in difficulty, and be mindfully present with your feelings. It equips you better.
Okay, so let's recap the toolbox. Acknowledging fear, understanding its roots, mindfulness, and RAIN. Focusing on control, routines, small goals, social support, and this really key one, self-compassion. These sound like incredibly valuable individual tools.
They are. They're powerful, and the sources definitely agree on their importance. But
There's a but.
there's an important but, or maybe an and. Here's where one source, particularly that college transition study, adds a really critical layer.
Well,
While self-compassion and those other individual coping skills did predict better adjustment overall,
yeah.
they found something significant. Those skills did not buffer the negative effects of chronic stressors.
Chronic stressors. Okay, what does that mean? What kind of stressors are we
Yeah.
talking about?
In the context of that study, chronic stressors were things like ongoing difficulties with partners or family, persistent money problems, and importantly, experiences of discrimination based on identity, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, nationality.
So things that aren't just a one-off bad event,
Yeah.
but are persistent, ongoing challenges.
Exactly. Pervasive ongoing challenges, different from an acute stress.
Okay, so if you're facing chronic financial insecurity maybe, or dealing with discrimination regularly, having great self-compassion might help you feel better in a tough moment.
Yes.
But it doesn't actually shield you from the cumulative negative impact of that constant grinding stress over time. Is that what they found?
That's precisely it. The study found these chronic stressors were strong predictors of negative outcomes: poor depression, more anxiety, less overall thriving. And those individual coping skills, like self-compassion, while generally helpful, didn't significantly lessen the impact of these specific, chronic, often systemic challenges.
Wow. That is a really vital point. Because it broadens the picture, doesn't it? Navigating change isn't just about individual grit or building your personal toolkit.
Exactly. It's not just a matter of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, especially when you're facing systemic barriers that are constantly pushing you down. And that same study also showed these chronic stressors weren't evenly spread out. They were disproportionately hitting students from marginalized groups, women, students of color, sexual minorities, first-generation students.
So it powerfully illustrates how the stress of change isn't just some internal psychological thing. It's shaped by bigger social and economic forces.
Absolutely. So while developing your individual coping skills, self-compassion, mindfulness, all of that is definitely within your power and highly beneficial.
Yeah.
It's also crucial to recognize that the actual stress load for people facing those chronic systemic challenges is just significantly heavier. And individual skills alone might not be enough to offset that weight.
That's the key takeaway from that perspective then. Supporting people through tough transitions, especially those from vulnerable groups, needs more than just individual fixes like therapy or mindfulness apps.
It really does. The research calls for more of an ecological or multi-level approach, one that also tackles the structural and systemic things contributing to that chronic stress and its unequal burden.
So policy changes, community support, institutional efforts, alongside the individual skill building.
Exactly. It reframes the whole picture. Individual resilience, individual coping, necessary, powerful, yes. But they operate within a larger environment, and that environment can significantly impact how effective they are.
That makes a lot of sense. Resilience isn't just something you have, is it?
No, not a fixed trait. As another source reminds us, resilience is that ability to cope and bounce back, and crucially, it's often built through navigating difficulty, through putting in the effort.
So facing hard times, even though it feels awful, it can actually expand your comfort zone, lead to new insights.
It often does. Foster growth. Even if you only see it looking back, while you're in it, it just feels messy.
So true. Looking back, you realize how much you learned or how you got stronger.
And finding that meaning, even small bits of it, that can be a coping strategy too. Things like proactively helping others, focusing on those small wins we talked about, trying to maintain a hopeful outlook. Practicing gratitude came up too, right? Finding even one tiny thing to be grateful for.
Yes. That can offer just a moment of relief, a shift in perspective when everything feels bleak.
Okay, so the full picture from this deep dive is definitely layered. It's acknowledge that feeling rattled is normal. It's human wiring. Be patient. Give yourself that preschooler grace. Use the individual tools, mindfulness, RAIN, focus on control, routines, connection, self-compassion.
Definitely use those tools.
But crucially, also recognize that the stress isn't felt equally. It's amplified by chronic systemic stuff that needs broader attention.
Yeah. It's about both building your inner strength and recognizing the importance of supportive environments and tackling those bigger barriers.
It's both hands.
Exactly. Now, navigating change is just fundamental to life, isn't it? It's going to bring stress. That's okay. That's part of it.
Yeah.
But by understanding where that stress comes from, using the tools we have, leaning on others, being kind to ourselves, and seeing the bigger picture, you can navigate it more effectively. And maybe even find some unexpected growth along the way.
Perhaps, yeah. Find opportunities you didn't even know were there.
So here's a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. Knowing that getting through transitions, however tough they feel, inherently builds resilience. It leads to learning, self-discovery. How can you start to shift your perspective, maybe just a tiny bit, from only fearing the great unknown of a change to also trying to embrace the adventure, the learning, the possibilities that might be waiting on the other side? How do you cultivate not just coping, but maybe a little bit of curious anticipation alongside the challenge?